It is 1:30. This is the February 6th meeting of the Chartered Clubs Committee. If you will all join me, if you're able to stand, and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, thank you. We have a quorum of the committee. I have a couple of announcements to make. I have accepted the resignation of Paul Voorhees from the committee. He has an extensive travel schedule and other personal commitments that will prevent him from fulfilling his duties, so I regrettably accepted his resignation. And I also regrettably accepted the resignation this morning of Jamie Mann, who, as you may know, is still working, and due to some changes at her employer, she is taking on additional responsibilities which will prevent her from fulfilling her duties here. So I thank them both for their service and regret that they will not be able to join us, but we will continue with the committee members you see up here. And we do have a quorum. First order of business is to approve the minutes from our December 19th meeting. Are there any changes, additions, or deletions? Okay, they will be accepted as written. Going right into our business, Casey, you want to give us your report, please?
Sure. Thanks, Jack. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a new year, so we haven't seen you, so I'm going to say Happy New Year. I just kind of want to do a little update of where we're at and how we're starting the year off. So we have 91 clubs now. We did have 3 clubs dissolve in 2023, that being Shuffleboard, Porcelain Painters, and Creative Silk Flowers. And then we had a council dissolve, which was the Stardust Council. So you can see underneath 91, I have clubs going strong with the cute little Stronger Together. Even though our numbers have declined, the clubs are becoming bigger and stronger and better. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that is a positive uptick for your clubs. Next slide, please. For scheduling, just kind of want to go over this special events piece. Chartered clubs, as you know, get 2 free socials, special events that includes tournaments as well. And then just please understand that there will be additional costs after those 2 free events. That's always been the rules. We are working to make sure that everything is being followed. And then the allocation of space, you may be responsible for certain supplies and or equipment, which you could be charged for. And we do treat all clubs the same for that. And then note, you must reserve this equipment if you want to use it as part of your inventory. If it happens to be stored near or around your club or activity, you need to schedule it because it's part of our inventory. Additional tables, it used to be $75, it's now $25, okay? So instead of nickeling and diming you guys and doing per chair, per table, or the $75 delivery fee, we're going to just bring it down to $25. It's a huge decrease, huge. All right, and then this kind of just helps offset the labor and the wear and tear. Oh, thank you. See, I didn't see it up there. And the wear and tear and replacement for the future. And then lastly, I just kind of want to go over some community events that are going on. I hope this Saturday, ARC has their car show. Hopefully, you know, there's no rain in the forecast. Tennis has platform tennis open house on February 18th, and Palo Verde Patchers have their semi-annual quilt show. So that's been going on for many years, so be sure to go check that out. If you do not know anything about quilts, you will see some serious talent. I was very impressed 2 years ago, and I still can't get over the ram. But I do want to give a quick shout out. Maybe on social media, some of you saw Channel 3 give our own Automotive Restoration Club a little recognition to a young man named Zane Childress, I think is how you say his last name. 10 years ago, they awarded him with or Make-A-Wish and our ARC club worked together to build a truck, and they presented it to him at Barrett-Jackson, and unfortunately he passed away, but that's what brought it back into the news. So it was last year, so just want to give a little shout out to our Automotive Restoration Club for what they've done in the past, and I'm sure they have more in the future to give. And that is it.
Okay, thank you, Casey. Then we will move on to our new business, which is a discussion of the RR&Ps. As you all know probably better than I, we've been working on these RR&Ps for about the past 10 months. And all of you have poured your heart and souls into this document. I've only poured my fingertips into it by typing it out. But we're at a point where we have to decide what we're going to do with this document. Now, I should point out that this document, which we've called Release Candidate 1.1, the reason it's 1.1 is that there were some items removed from the last edited document, which was 9.1D, where we took out the statements regarding charging clubs, or the association reserves the right to charge a fee for tournaments and leagues. Those were taken out. All references to that were taken out. And there were a couple other items that were in 9.1D, which we did not get to discuss. So those were removed as well. So what I'd like to discuss and reach consensus today, if we can, is to move this to the governing board for their March workshop to consider. So I'm very comfortable with where this document is, and hopefully you all can do that as well. So I'll start to my left with Connie. Connie, what are your thoughts? Should we move this to the governing board for their approval?
I'd like to see it move forward. This group has put as much work into it as we can, and I think we have a good product. And I'd like to have it go on and be reviewed by the governing board. We don't know if everything's going to get approved. It may or may not, but I don't think it would behoove anyone for us to continue to work on it, because we've reached the consensus we're going to reach on everything. And I think we're proud of our product.
Okay, good, thank you. Vicki?
Yes, I'd like to see it move on to the governing board, because I think that, very much like Connie, that we have spent so much time working with this, 10 months in working committees and sitting up here and taking the, looking at our own computers and thinking about what we might want changed, and come up here and talk about what we need is move it on to the governing board, have the governing board look at it and give us some feedback based on the document that we have created. So I say move it forward.
Thank you, Vicki. Nick?
I've said many times now, I'll say it again, is that I don't think this new draft of the RR&Ps actually prevents a club from doing in the future anything which they are currently allowed to do under the old RR&Ps. I don't think that's the perception in the community, and certainly probably not the perception in the room that we have here, even though I believe that that's a true statement. So although I am in fact thinking that we should move these RR&Ps through to the governing board to get their feedback and or acceptance, I'm not certain that the governing board will approve. But that's a matter for them and for time. I think that wrong perception that we have about these RR&Ps is that we appear to be doing several things, one of which is drowning club officers in bureaucracy, But in fact, there isn't any additional bureaucracy compared to what already existed, but there's a perception that that's happening. I think there's a perception that we're preventing clubs from doing things which they currently do. The problem is some of those things that they currently do are not actually allowed under the old RR&Ps. I think there's a perception that we're forcing some tournaments and competitions out of the clubs and into the hands of a direct negotiation between individual members and the general manager and the recreation manager to undertake something more like a private citizen, because our rules do not allow the clubs to do it. And I'd like to see a way for that kind of activity to be brought back in to the club fold again. But I don't want to drag this process out anymore in this room. There are some changes. I've got a list of about 12 or 15 changes I'd like to see, but I know that that is not probably going to happen, that we need to get this to the governing board, we need to get it approved or not by them, and then let's run with it and let's adapt next year. This committee is, by policies of the association, this committee has to review the RR&Ps every year. So, you know, if these are approved, let's get them in operation and let's take another harder look next year based on the experience so far. And I think for 85 or more of our 91 clubs, there'll be absolutely no change whatsoever in what they do. 5 or 6 clubs might have some issues or some questions, and let's work through those next year. Let's look at accommodations. Let's negotiate with the recreation manager, you know, who has a final say on a lot of these items as to how we go.
So is that a yes or a no?
It's a highly qualified yes.
Okay, I'll take that as a yes then, thank you. Carol?
I think we have all individually and collectively given this our very best effort. The end product may not be perfect, but I don't know that we're really going to understand what's wrong with it until we use it. So I do strongly feel it's time to move forward with this, send it to the governing board. And if there are things that need to be looked at next year, by all means, we can open it up and look at it again. But it's time to send it on to the board.
I'll take that as a yes. Thank you, Carol. Maria?
I'll be short and sweet, yes.
Thank you, Maria. Kathy?
I won't be quite so short, but the answer is yes. I appreciate all the work that everybody on this committee has done on this, and the feedback we've gotten from the audience that has taken the time to come and listen to us and discuss it with us. So like has been said, it's not a perfect document. I'm sure the governing board will have some comments to make about it and maybe ask us to make some changes, but we need to move it forward because we have talked it to death. So yes.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Judy?
I agree. We should move it forward to the governing board. I think we have done our research. We've always kept the clubs as the forefront in thinking through any part of these RR&Ps. And I really think the clubs need to try this new document before it can be criticized, because there are ways for most everything to be done within these RR&Ps, maybe just a little differently than it was in the past. Yes, it's not perfect, but it definitely is a good document.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Any other final comments from anybody? Sure, Connie.
Never go first because you don't have your thoughts organized. I just want to point out, I agree, I mean, everybody's brought out, we know this is not a perfect document. And I've had several of my clubs ask why certain things have been added when it doesn't seem to be something that pertains to them or to maybe many others. I want to point out that, first of all, every single thing that has been in any way added, deleted, or revised in this document has come out of something that has either happened or something that we need to anticipate and be ready for. I mean, just something that we can help things to run more smoothly. And the other thing is that we had a couple of, 3, I believe it was, working groups come out of this committee over the last couple of years, and we put in hours and hours outside of this group, outside of these meetings. And it got to the point where we realized that we had to trust each other for becoming the experts on those topics. So whereas Nick became very familiar with space utilization, I wasn't in on all of those meetings, but I really trust him to have gathered the information and explained it to me correctly. And I feel that my colleagues did the same for those of us who served on tournaments, leagues, and special events. And we've had a lot of collaborative work among us, and that's how we got to where we got with this product. And I hope that it will work for all of you, because we think it's worth giving it a chance.
Okay. Thank you, Connie. Okay, let it be shown that it was a unanimous vote, 7 yes, 0 no's, to move it to the governing board. I will work to get it on the schedule for the March meeting, the March workshop for the governing board. That takes care of our business. Let's move to committee comments. I'll start with Judy. Do you have any extra comments? Any other comments?
Really don't, no, thank you.
Okay. Kathy?
Just one. Maria and Judy and I are scheduling another workshop with our clubs. I believe it's March 13th.
Yep.
And we'll be contacting all of our officers and letting them know. Worked really well last time. It's a great opportunity to just share information and learn from each other what the other clubs are doing. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Maria?
This question is for Casey. Did we get all the clubs to submit there's 5 clubs left that didn't submit the VPs, or we're good?
Okay, good. Connie?
Sorry, I have a couple of shout outs from a couple of my clubs. Boomers has a lounge night every month, and they put the proceeds into a savings account. And Pam told me last night that at the end of the season, they're going to be presenting half of that to Helping Hands and half of that to the prize. And then a second shout out to Zymergy. On January 22nd, they had the Billy Elton Band for a fundraiser, Billy Joel and John Elton music. Elton John, turn that around, sorry. Gee, you would think I would know that. I'm in that generation, right? Okay. Anyway, they were able to give $2,500 to Helping Hands, and on February 20th, they will be giving $2,500 to the Posse. So shout outs to those 2 clubs for their fundraising.
That's great. Thank you. Vicki?
So this morning before I left the house, I informed my husband that on Saturday, we will definitely be going to the ARC car show, since I happen to be one of the liaisons that includes that particular club, and I've never actually been, so I'm really looking forward to that. And Carol Card, who is the liaison with me to the Hobbies Club, got a great tour of KSCW last week from the president, and found out about all the wonderful things that they do. And I informed my husband he has to set it up so I now can have that as background music in the house. I have him working on it. And when Casey had the compulsory meetings for the officers early in January, I was there for when the Hobbies clubs met, and I did manage to get around and introduce myself as liaison. And so that I didn't have to sit through a second time, Carol was going to sit with the people that did not attend that. So it was great meeting you all.
Thank you, Vicki. Nick?
Just to say that since Paul has resigned, I'll take up the, believe 5 sports clubs that Paul was liaison for, and I'll be reaching out to the presidents. But if you have anything in the meantime, reach out to me.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. I was going to mention that. And as regarding Jamie's clubs, why don't you if you have any questions, I'll be the point of contact for right now until we figure out something more permanent. Carol?
Just an add-along to what Vicki said. I've been very, very pleased with the reception we've received from old officers, new officers, as we do our liaison thing. They brought forth some interesting questions for us. We've had to do a little research to respond, but it's been very successful. The other thing is I wanted to do a public thank you to Carl Wilhelm and his group. This comes from the Bocce Club. They did an outstanding job with the courts. They faced many issues with supplies that were delayed or supplies that were inadequate, and so they were not accepted. The end product is wonderful. The club is very happy with it, and life goes on in the bocce world.
Thank you, Carol. Casey, do you have any comments?
Yeah, pretty much for you all. I have a new president list that I will be sending you all, okay? Now that we do have all of the CR5s, is what she was asking. But my answer to the no was no, not everybody showed up to the officers' meeting.
Okay, thank you. We will open the floor to comments. If you come up to the lectern up there and sign in and put your rec card number there, and then introduce yourself over the microphone with your name and your rec card number. So open it to the floor.
No, I've done this before. It's my first time. Hi, it's my first time doing this, so please print my name. My rec card 132343. And I have mostly a question on the bylaws. One of the rules was only 4 meetings a year for your club. If you want more than that, does that mean we just have to pay for the room?
So I don't have anything in concrete yet. And I've had a couple clubs ask me the same question. I'll go back to, I think, the first meeting that we had for this season. We had some clubs, had 4 general membership meetings and jumped up to 8. So our space is becoming a bit of an issue. So that's kind of the purpose. Right now, no. Right now, it's 3 is what you have to meet. 4 is acceptable to me as far as not charging, especially the larger clubs.
Right, we couldn't fit everybody in our 2 rooms in the art room. I'm with the art club.
Yeah.
And we have a meeting every month, except for,
It's good discussion piece for us to have. We just have to remember that there's a lot of setup, breakdown, and I'm working with the operations team to try and kind of format that a little bit and simplify it because, for example, Palm Ridge, 2 weeks ago, on Tuesday, they set up for a general membership meeting for 250 people just to break it down for a fitness class for just humans in the room to set up the exact same setup for that same night to break down for a fitness class. So we're just trying to simplify and kind of get things organized and moving forward. But to answer your question right now as it sits, no.
no, we can only have 4?
No, we're not going to charge you.
You're not going to charge?
Right now.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that without the approval of
Okay.
anybody.
All right.
So,
All right,
okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
Can you please tell us your name?
Susan Light.
Okay, thank you.
Sign. Oh, did you sign? Okay, go. Oh, you're supposed to have your rec card number. Okay, I'm Jolene Piaskowski, 132268. Just wondering, when you present these, Jack, to the governing board, are the new ones, these are not redlined at all? Is the copy that you're going to be giving them, are those going to be redlined?
They will get that copy and a red line copy.
So they're going to get a final version and then a copy of the.
They will get the release candidate 1.1,
Okay,
and they will get the last red line version, which was 9.1D.
Okay, is it gonna be, because I printed that off from the computer, is it gonna be bigger?
It's,
Because when I printed it off from the computer, it only goes like a little bit of the page. I'm just asking because it would be easier for the governing board to read it as a red line as opposed to, I don't know what you've got going on there.
they will get both, so they can look at, if they want to see all the detail, they can look at the red line. If they don't, they will be able to look at the release candidate.
Okay, great.
Ronald Wilson, 130754. I'm here today, basically doing general meetings all day. Sorry we showed up a little late, but glad I had the opportunity to speak. Speaking of general meetings for the clubs, I'm a member of the wood shop. We have 8 meetings, 8 meetings a year. We talk about safety, how it affects our club, to get our members involved with what's going on. We can't hold our general meetings inside of our shop. We have a shop on one side, construction room on the other side. So there's really no room to do a lot of that. So we rely on the rec center to help us give spaces to us to have our meetings. And I'm also a member of one of the golf leagues out here. We do our meetings inside the rec centers here. We just had a breakfast this morning. I guess they're gonna try to do 3 meetings a year instead of the 4, due to the idea that we're losing space. So I'm really hoping that you would take in consideration of the clubs that don't have the workspace, metal shop, a lot of the different clubs that don't have the space to be able to meet, that is very good for them to be able to talk about safety issues, issues that matter to the club more so than just sitting and enjoying themselves.
Thank you. Casey, do you want to address that? I think Ron was not here for the earlier discussion.
Thank you for your comments. When I just answered, you just walked through the door?
I just heard
Okay.
part of what you were just saying.
Okay, so
And I understand what you were saying.
I agree with you. It's nothing against clubs that don't have the facility, because you guys have a large club, 700-800 people, and your peak season, I think that's about what you hit, right, Art? Same goes for pickleball and boomers. You know, they're well over 1,500 to 2,000 members. It's not anything that I look past, but Norm, I'm going to use the computer club as an example. We have one club that only has about 30 to 40 people for a meeting, and the computer club has kind of offered to help us out during these times for this small group for meetings, if they're not utilizing their facilities. So we are trying to think outside the box. Thank you, Computer West. If you don't know Norm, he's right there. And I really are. We're working. Laura, if you have not met Laura, our new scheduling lead, she is unbelievable. Like, oh my gosh, she is just a sunshine for me because she's working through problems, coming with solutions. We're managing to help clubs that might have a little bit of issues or conflicting concerns with another thing that's going on. So we're working. Like I said earlier, this is not anything concrete as far as charging the clubs. We just need to be a little bit smarter of the breakdown, setup, so on and so forth. And I think we have a little plan. I just kind of got to get the right clubs in the room to have a discussion.
Well, our club likes to have social events. We can't do it inside our club. The Coots Rec Center, just the courtyard, is $200 for us to rent, $50 if we do the Gator. So that's right off the top of our membership stuff if we want to throw an event. Plus, if we want to have any entertainment or anything else. And we're looking at the foundation spaces. There's other spaces within the walls that are available for us. But the cost of these rental spaces and stuff are killing the clubs that want to do stuff, and especially the clubs that don't have the space. So the meetings are probably very important to us. The social environment for us to get the woodworkers and their wives together at events, because most of the woodworkers are the member, but when we do something, we allow them to bring their wives. We had 180 people on a sandwich day. Half of the people are out in the parking lot in January for us within our shop to do an event, because we know it's going to cost us a couple of $100 to do something. So those are the things that the club is looking at. We're buying equipment, we're buying storage containers. We spend a lot of money for our members. So we kind of need help from the rec center to help save some of our money. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Jack. Lisa Vines, 123774. So my question is regarding the bocce courts. They are wonderful, they are new. However, I don't know if you've seen them lately, Carol, since the rain last week. I sent 5 pictures to Carl because the 5 courts that on the dog park side, all those courts have big major white spots after the rain. So Carl is doing research into that. Has he gotten in touch with you regarding that and given you any information?
He and I have talked about this multiple times, and what we assume is happening, a lot of the white paint that they put on the courts to designate center lines, foot fault lines, the lines all the way up and down the side rails, that was put on when the courts were brand new and the turf was high. Now that the courts have been used and the fact that we've had a lot of rain, it's trampled down the turf. It's also flicked off some of the paint. We don't know if that's the only issue, but Carl has contacted the contractor who's coming this week, and we have a number of things we want him to look at. And he's very open. When we called him before, he came quickly and resolved the one issue we had. I don't expect anything different from this visit.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, Casey?
I kind of want to do that. I just want to kind of put this out there for especially those clubs that have what we call common space, which means the public comes in and utilizes it. Bocce courts being one, tennis, pickleball, so on and so forth, lawn bowling. When I just want to give a shout out to a lot of the presidents or the officers. They do recognize that and they let us know right away. So I just want to kind of give a shout out, kind of going off of that comment, that our clubs do a really good job at making sure that their facilities are at above par. So I just had to give a shout out to that, to all the clubs.
Okay, thank you. Last call for comments. Okay, seeing none, I will adjourn the meeting at 2:04 p.m. Thank you for attending.